Okay, so now we are at supine, and we always want to let our clients' feet be free here. So we don't want to trap the feet. If they're cold, you can kind of wrap the blanket around them. And I'm just going to start with a little bit of distraction here. Does that hurt your low back when I do that, Maurice?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. So when a client tells me that hurts a little bit, that could be an indication of a forward bent sacrum. I kind of don't think that with Maurice, but we'll check another time for sure. So to work on the feet, I'm simply leaning to either side with straight arms. And I'm wanting to turn the feet out. So I've got my palms on the edge of the person's foot, kind of towards the bottom, and I'm pushing up towards the head and in a kind of angled direction. And one side to the other, not both at the same time. You can see that if you went too much, you could torque the knees. You can see how they're moving. And then palm press the heels. So I'm just leaning in here. And then I could get up on the table again. A little rotation for the knees. And in Thai massage, we know that there are wind gates, usually at the joints, where constriction can happen. There'll be a lack of flow there because of a misalignment. And right at the crease of the groin is a wind gate that we always want to open in Thai massage to make sure you've got some flow down the legs. So for some people, I'm going to stay there for a while. So he's got some pretty good pressure here without any effort from me at all. Then I'm going to take the feet about hip width apart and fold one foot over the other. Now, not everyone will be able to do this. And then I'm simply going to lean in with one hand over the other. Plantar flex here. And we can circle the toes. A little more of the footwork. Generally, I'm doing this on the floor, but you can come with one knee up, and you're simply using your body weight to circle, do some ankle and foot rotations here. So I have a thumb right under the pads in the middle of my client's foot, right on the other side of the top of the foot here. And I'm simply moving my entire body, leaning in with my body. And we get a little bit of an abdominal massage here. And then I'm going to take my client's outside of the foot and simply traction the leg. I've got a bit of oil on my hands here, so I'm slipping a bit, which is okay. I can just use that. You might have oil on your hands too, so. And then I'll do the same for the inside. And in Thai massage here, we're stretching the liver. That's the liver line going out down the inside of the leg. And we generally are pulling the toes. And you can see even when I'm pulling a small body part, I'm using my body weight. I'm leaning back. You just get in that habit so that when you move a large body part, you don't hurt yourself. Okay, and we're going to think about all the different ways that a leg can move, right? So we can certainly extend the leg straight. We can bend the knee. It'll rotate. It'll come out to the side, it'll go across, and we can stretch the foot up towards the head as well. Okay? So if you just remember what are the positions that you can move a body in, and then what's available to apply pressure. So I'm going to start by bringing my client into a little bit of a quad press here, hamstring stretch, and I'm using my elbow, or sorry, my forearm, to apply pressure up towards the head. And if I want to apply more pressure, I simply lean in more. And then I want to take my client's leg to the side. So see where things fit. This fits quite nicely on my hip here. And I can simply, and my hand fits quite nicely on my client's thigh here. So again, my hand is quiet. There's no movement of the fingers at all. And then I'll just set the leg down. So I want the sole of my client's foot to be almost in line with the knee of his other leg. And from here I can work this several different ways. I can get up on the table, and this is how I would do it on the floor. And I'm simply leaning. And I'm careful here because this is already under a fair bit of stretch, this adductor. And my client here is fairly flexible. If he wasn't flexible, in this position he's flexible. If he wasn't, and I just used his heel to transition, then I could bring my knee up onto the table, and I could use my forearm here. And my back is straight. And from here I can straighten the leg, and it comes quite nicely out to the side as well. So I can use my hip again to kind of traction and stretch. I can feel, and I'm feeling the tension happening at the heel here. So as I stretch the foot towards his head, I'm starting to feel the pull. And if I have my hand on my client's inner thigh, I can apply some pressure there as well, along with a bit of a stretch. So this is more of a compression stretch method. I'm holding on to his heel here, but with a very cupped, soft hand. It's not gripping the heel at all. It's simply resting in the palm of my hand. Then we can work to stretch our client's hamstrings. So probably how I would do that with this client is, again, my knee is on the table. I'm going to compress a little bit above the knee. I'm stretching through the whole plantar fascia. And I'm easing off. So sometimes people can't take a lot of a hamstring stretch assisted unless you come in and out of it. And then just very naturally, the leg is going into this position. So I'm simply going to lean in there. I might use my elbow, or sorry, my forearm, not my elbow. And because I'm bracing my elbows here, this is totally acceptable in Thai massage. You could also be working a lot further away from your client with straight arms. So depending on the client, I'm going to find what feels comfortable. And then I can also bring my client's leg all the way into a bit of a twist and an IT band stretch. And again, I can use my torso to support his leg while I give some pressure. And you want to be careful that you're not on the bone of the greater trochanter here. I have a fairly large greater trochanter, and the number of times that a Thai massage therapist has pressed directly on that bone, and it really doesn't feel good. So you have to feel where the bone stops and the tissue of the IT band begins. Did that cause any discomfort in the back?
No.
Good. You can also simply take the heel in your hand and push it towards the client's head. And that can go in several directions. I need to change arms for this direction. And again. Generally, if you're going to start doing this work with someone, you probably want to have them wearing their underwear. It just gives them a level of comfort that they're not going to have if they're totally disrobed. When I do Ayurvedic massage, people are totally disrobed, but you know, I'm working in a much different way. I do still get up on the table with Ayurvedic massage, though. Actually, I'm going to use the other. Generally, when I'm working on the floor, I'm using both of my knees are bent and the person's foot is right in my lap. And if you're a guy and you feel like this is too close for comfort, you can put a pillow under here and work with a little more space between your groin and your client's foot. And again, so I'm gripping the outside of the person's foot. And if this causes you any pain, you're simply not doing it. You could also try doing it like this. And sometimes with someone who is very rotated, I can't get my hand all the way around. So I do adjust to make it easy for me. And you get a nice stretch of the fascia on the top of the foot here. And then again, I'm going to stretch down the liver. I can tell already that my client has a heel, calcaneus, that's stuck medially. So I don't know if you can see this so well on video, but when I grab his ankle here and I try to move that heel should move back and forth a little bit. And it's got a bit of movement. It may be more muscular than actually stuck. So when you massage someone and you make a change in alignment through muscle, working on muscles, then it's not an osteopathic issue. But if you're working muscles and working and nothing much is shifting, it's probably that a bone is stuck, and it doesn't matter how much you massage those muscles. It's not going to shift because needs an osteopathic adjustment. So again, just so you can see on this side, you have to remember what you did from one side to the other. So there's many ways to do this. I could be up on the table, and this is how I would do it on the floor. And this is a butterfly palm press here. And I could have his leg, and generally I would, on the floor, just pressing in. And if I'm up on the table, then I can press down on the other thigh while I stretch this one, which is quite therapeutic. And of course the other option is to take a leg this way. So if someone's really large, this is probably the way you're going to do it, because it's the easiest. So generally I would say be doing these stretches before you apply the oil. So take 5-10 minutes. This is how you transition. 5-10 minutes to do the back work. Whatever you're comfortable with, start with that. And then 5 or 10 minutes on the front before you apply oil. So generally when I'm on the floor, I'm going to work like this, but I can't get enough leverage here to do that without being on my tippy toes, which does work, but it's not a good overall strategy. So I'm going to come to the other side of the table where I can lean in much better, right? So you figured out what's going to work for you and your client. My other option here, of course, is to get up on the table. And because I'm very comfortable with that, that's probably what I would do. Because I can get lots of pressure here simply by shifting my body weight. So if I want more pressure, I'm just leaning in with my whole torso. But watching that I'm not hyperextending my wrists, right? Again, we're coming up into a hamstring stretch. And here I'm just going to, I can tell that I'm at his end range because the knee is starting to bend. So I'm just going to stay in that range, giving some traction on the foot. Oh, and look, it just goes almost magically into the right position for me. And I'm noticing a scar. My client has broken that ankle before. And quite possibly what I'm feeling with the heel has been there since that injury or even before. And we have a much tighter IT band on this side, right? I'm actually losing him off the table on with the other leg, so I'm just keeping aware of that and making sure he doesn't feel unsafe. And we can also do a stretch like that from this side, which is quite useful. And I can even pull from this side, leaning back, not using any muscular effort. So I'm kind of using my rib cage here. And this would work easier with a client who had more of a mobility in through the low back. So I might try something with someone and it doesn't quite work because of our pairing, either my body type, their body type, and that's okay. You've given them a stretch in that position and you just move on. So anything that causes discomfort for your client or yourself is just not going to be in your routine, that's all. And you may be able to do some things with some clients and not others. See, I can't really use leverage here because I'm losing his leg. It's a little more externally rotated than the other one. And so when there is some external rotation of the leg, sometimes it's right in the hip socket, other times it's going to be the muscle. So I can simply start to rotate the muscle on the bone. And I'm kind of gripping right in, getting into the IT band and just leaning in here. And if I just stabilize under the knee, I can even pull a little towards me. This is very therapeutic for external rotation. And you can see how I'm using my whole body here as a lever. And I'll show you that on the other side. So I would say every day you go into work, have at least one new thing you're going to try. Pick the easiest thing first that will be easy for you to put into your routine. And you're going to feel awkward and it's going to take a little bit of courage. When I first started Ayurvedic massage, I didn't like it because number one, I was working directly on skin, which I had never done. And it was just unfamiliar, right? So, and you don't feel confident at first. And that's okay. What I'm showing you, your clients are really going to enjoy. It's very, very helpful to them. And the odd client who doesn't over time, then, oh well, you figure out how to work with them with straight arms, with a regular oil massage, and that's okay. I can tell that his calves are really quite tight here. I'm almost bouncing off. So hopefully you're starting to get a little bit of a drift of how this works. I'll show you without the blanket here. So I'm stretching, compressing. Compressing. And we're working the gallbladder line here. So more than anatomy so much anymore, I think about the body in terms of energy systems, organ systems, and we'll definitely get into that theory for sure in later videos. But if everywhere I touch on a client where the gallbladder meridian is, if it's congested, if it's hard and lumpy, then I know quite possibly they have some gallbladder stagnation.